Trigger warning. This presentation involves touchy subjects like homicide and hate crimes. Viewer discretion is advised. When I was 8 years old, I used to watch movies where the princess would be saved by a prince. They'd kiss and live happily ever after the plot of the story was resolved. I thought that was the way it was supposed to be after being exposed to countless years of straight opposite-sex couples being shown on TV. When She-Ra, The Owl House, Atypical, Never Have I Ever, The Fosters, Gossip Girl, and many others had a same-sex couple or other LGBT representation, these shows received a huge amount of attention and backlash just because of the same-sex couples shown. When I watched these shows as a preteen, I thought that same-sex couples were a bit weird and new territory for me because I had never noticed they existed. Why is it that for every 10 shows with straight representation, there is 80% less backlash than for every same-sex couple romance thread? Kids around the world have begun to notice that straight is not the norm and that there are other normal forms of love. Yet parents have decided that watching two girls dance together, a gay couple in It Chapter 2, and many other sequences are wrong. Such things parents have said are, of course, of the devil, influencing our children wrong, the downfall of courteous society as we know it, and many other hurtful phrases and things. Which is why today we are going to shine a light on LGBT laws and why are they important and crucial to this year's election. Time and time again, the topic of LGBTQ has been on the table. There are very divided views on what it actually is and what it supports. This is a recurring issue because now in the age of social media, a lot of misinformation has been spread. So let's rerun on the basics of LGBTQ. According to the official Merriam-Webster dictionary, LGBTQ, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer/questioning one's sexual or gender identity. Now you might be thinking your own opinion on this definition, and that is okay. But listen to me first before coming up with your own definition or just living off of Instagram informatives. LGBT is not a classist or a terrorist group. LGBT is not a threat to the nation. LGBT does not mean better than straight or any type of supremacist group. LGBT people are simply individuals like you and me who just so happen to not like the opposite gender. Both opposite genders, or none at all. It seems as if it is a very complex concept, but when I say it like that, it doesn't sound that complex, does it? Then why did two women get beat in London on a bus simply because they aren't into the opposite gender? Let's talk about the current situation for these individuals from another perspective. For example, it is no secret that our president, Donald J. Trump, is not fond of the LGBT community or anything that takes power from him and his supremacist ways. In the CNN article, 2016 election, he said trans people should not serve in the military. He said this out of pure spite, and thus the law was changed to his desire. Just because someone did not feel comfortable with the gender they were assigned at birth and changed it, they are not allowed to go to the military. Personally, that is absurd. Someone's personal choices for them should not affect the life they live and the limits they are put to. There have been many barriers for the life that LGBT people live. For example, people are simply beat to death because of their sexuality. This isn't me overreacting. This is a legit thing that has happened time and time again. I did some digging on the internet and managed to find accurate statistics of homophobic homicide from 2016 to now. The government has no records of any of these things happening. This is related towards the election because the Trump administration seemed to take this lightly. All the homicides, suicides, and hate crimes towards these individuals were played off as unfortunate happenings or wrong time in the wrong place, or many other phrases that might indicate it as something not so crucial. We need an administration that will keep the lives of young and old Americans safe no matter their religion, ethnicity, social background, and sexuality. Which is why I urge you, for the sake of our country, to encourage people to vote. Urge them to vote. Do it to see the change you want to be and want to see. Do it so you can be a hero and guarantee a brighter future for old and new generations and peace.
It is widely known that Trump was doing more harm than good for the LGBTQ plus community. But his supporters claim that he's a good man, that he's pro-LGBTQ plus, that the media was lying every time they report the negative actions of Trump. They tell us, vex our feelings, and call us snowflakes whenever we give a valid rebuttal. His actions and influence is speaking much louder than the words being spewed over its social media and from his physical mouth. There has been many news reports talking about the actions Trump has tried initiating or has already done to the LGBTQ plus community. Stokes has even said Trump has committed more than 175 attacks on the community in policy and rhetoric ever since he entered the office. Examples of these attacks are banning transgender people from the military, allowing religious adoptions agencies to reject gay couples, and even aim to end protections for trans people in prisons. Just think about that for 1 second. How much hate and abuse do you think these people are facing when they're put in the wrong prisons just because they're transgender? Read the slide. Along with that, an article written by Maggie Haberman, a White House correspondent for the New York Times, also stated that Trump and his administration had also rolled back a regulation that mandated health care as a civil right for trans patients under the Affordable Health Care Act. Not only that, he has appointed more than 150 judges, which 1/3 of them has a history of anti-LGBTQ plus biases. He even began to pull back protection for transgender students in school, lying through his teeth time and time again, and his supporters suck it up like a dehydrated sponge in water. So, President-elect Joe Biden, I don't know who you are, but I don't care. You now have a duty to lead this country this summer where every single individual in this country feels safe. We're going to hold you accountable for everything you have promised us, everything you have said, and everything you have done. And we're not going to let you forget that either. We're going to watch you as you make the final decisions. Good day.
At roughly age 7, I just knew that no matter what, my kind was never accepted. Although it wasn't in my face, I could tell my family of immigrants had different morals and lives compared to my classmates. My kind was never going to be looked at the same level of a white person. We will always be at the bottom of the pyramid. In upper elementary, I was introduced to the fear and danger most immigrant families felt. I started to understand why my parents got so nervous and anxious around the police and were hesitant to answer, "Are you a U.S. citizen?" Panic and fear runs through many immigrant families. They're distressed to worry about their new life in the U.S. being taken away from them, which is why I think families should not be divided and separated. Immigrant families live in terror and discomfort from the police because they know if they are detained, they will leave behind their children, house, and all of the years of labor to move ahead behind. Children should not watch their parents be put in handcuffs and taken away. Behind the doors at inhumane detention centers, they lack proper living conditions. According to reports from the U.S. and Customs Border Protection, the people that are detained in these centers don't receive enough food, water, sleep, and medical needs. These immigrant families eat frozen packaged food, which isn't even enough to fill up their hunger. Water in the detention centers is scarce. It is dirty and unsanitary. These people are kept in dirty, cruel cages. They are living and being treated like animals. Since these people sleep on cold concrete hard floors with not even a blanket to keep warm, they get extremely sick, especially the younger ones. They don't have the same immune system as an adult. It's more easier for them to end up catching a fever, the flu, and pneumonia. One case, for example, is a 2.5-year-old boy, Wilmer Josue Ramirez Vasquez. Wilmer died from pneumonia a month later after being detained. He and many other young children around his age have died from being extremely ill and not receiving medical help. Especially now with COVID, these centers are basically disease cages. Once these people are in here, they're pretty much counting their days. These places are packed with people, so they can easily contract this deadly virus. People come into the U.S. for a better life. For them to leave everything behind and enter a foreign place, and then end up being isolated away from their families in inhumane, degrading cages is morally wrong. I hope that this new president will have a better way on how to take these people in. If people are living at these centers, they need to change these conditions. They're animals. They're humans who also deserve the same amount of respect and dignity. My hope is that the president doesn't let another innocent baby die in the arms of their parents.